lights and peace forever. Rising up with spirits, rising up with love, rising up with spirits and love and lights and peace forever. Rising up with spirits, rising up with love, rising up with spirits and love and lights and peace forever.
Good morning, and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Denver's online Sunday service. We are a loving, prospering community in the heart of Capitol Hill and online. And as we continue to meet online, remaining connected as a community is of the utmost importance. Here at CSL Denver, Reverend Elzia, our practitioners, everyone involved is looking for ways so that we can stay connected as we explore our reemergence to face-to-face services. Over the coming weeks, we invite you to stay with us in our virtual fellowship immediately following the service. And if you're new to our community, what a great way to get to know people. Drop into our virtual Zoom fellowship right after today's service. If you have a previous link, that'll work. If not, send a quick email to info@csldenver.org and we'll be sure to get a link to you right away. While you're hanging out at the virtual fellowship, you might meet one of our professional practitioners. And please know that our practitioners are here to pray with you. Our names and phone numbers are on the website. Our email addresses are there too. You can get in touch with us and schedule a time to consider what's working in your life and how you can use the power of a spiritual affirmative prayer to light up your life. Before we go today, we do want to say thank you one more time for all the financial support that all of you are sharing with the Center for Spiritual Living Denver. It means so much to be able to keep our virtual doors open and prepare for our reemergence to in-person services. And speaking of which, we'll keep you informed of any developments in that arena through our newsletter. Please jump on over to our website, csldenver.org, and sign up for our newsletter. We promise to only send one message a week, and it shares with you the important highlights of what you need to know to stay connected here with CSL Denver. All right, folks, that's about all we have for today in announcements. Let's get right back into the music with more by Freddy Rodriguez Jr.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever. Amen.
Good morning. And just want to say happy Easter, everybody. Going to shift this over to Tim to do our reading this morning. But I wanted to just start out and say happy Easter to everybody and welcome CSL Denver family.
Good morning. And I invite you to close your eyes for the invocation. And as we close our eyes, we bring ourselves into the center of the one Spirit, the one divine God that is in, through, and around all of us. We recognize the power of this one Spirit. We recognize the love, the compassion, the joy, the peace. And as we move into this season of new beginnings, we bring with us a new enthusiasm for the spring, for the new beginning. And we bring this enthusiasm with the same love, joy, compassion that the Divine Spirit has. And as we move into this service on this Easter morning, I know that the service is blessed as we are all blessed. The service is blessed by the technology of Diego and by the message of Reverend Elzia and by the support of Alice and by the readings and the practitioner core. And it's also blessed by each and every one who attend our virtual service, whose heart is with CSL Denver. Just as we know all people of all faiths, of all religions, whether they are worshiping in a mosque or a synagogue or a temple or at home, virtually, or simply out in nature, communing with nature, for that is God also. And we absolutely are grateful for this revelation that this new beginning is with us, and that as we move into it, we know we are whole, perfect, and complete. And so it is. And now our reading today is from a manuscript entitled A Holmes Reader for All Seasons by Ernest Holmes. And the title of this particular section is The Best Is Yet to Be. Father, into thy hands I commend my spirit. These words ascribed to Jesus at the close of his mission in this life, implying, as they do, a supreme confidence in the universe and in the immortality of the soul, are fraught with particular significance to us at Easter season. Jesus knew the soul to be immortal. Since humankind first began to meditate deeply and earnestly upon the spiritual meaning of life, there's always been a teaching that this physical plane is but a manifestation of the more subtle and ethereal plane, and that this physical body is but a counterpart of an immaterial body. The spiritually illumined of the ages have taught that the immortality of every person, the continuity of every person's individual stream of God consciousness and self-awareness, We may desecrate our spiritual natures. We may temporarily dishonor or disown them. We may prolong the advent of our heaven, but somewhere, under some condition, we shall all awaken from our sleep. Let us then seek that divine reality, which ever enfolds us in its eternal embrace, that spirit which is within, around, and about us, that inspiration which is the guiding star of our soul. And as we permit eternity to make a new imprint upon our mind, to enlarge the boundaries of our spiritual horizon, to break down the intellectual barriers of our thought, we shall then view the world as one vast plain and one boundless reach of sky, and we may walk into the light in joy. And so it is. And now back to Freddy Rodriguez with a musical selection titled Shine.
Your gift might be playing melodies on the piano, or maybe your gift might be singing pretty like a sparrow, or maybe you can talk to people, make them feel good inside, or maybe you're an actress making people laugh or cry. Whatever it might be, show the world so we can see. You got to shine, spread your wings and fly. Show the world just how you shine. Claim your gift and don't deny. Sometimes you got to move on, show the world what's going on. Whatever it might be, show the world so we can see. You might be a leader, teaching people to be bold, or you could be a runner racing to get that gold. Or sometimes you might make mistakes and give your gift up. RFK said, I dream of things that never were and ask why not. Whatever it might be, show the world so we can see. You got to shine, spread your wings and fly. Show the world just how you shine. Claim your gift and don't deny. Sometimes you got to move on, show the world what's going on. Whatever it might be, show the world so we can see. Be free, see. Got to shine, spread your wings and fly. Show the world just how you shine. Claim your gift and don't deny. Sometimes you got to move on, show the world what's going on. Whatever it might be, show the world so we can see.
CSL Denver. and welcome on this glorious Easter morning. This is a place and a space and a face of love, a spiritual community teaching universal principles that will empower our lives and the lives of others. So I want to say happy Easter to everyone. I hope everyone is in a joyous mood this morning, that the sun is rising internally and the spirit is shining bright, and to know that each and every day can be just like today, a new beginning, a new awakening, so that we can begin to unfold into who and what we really are. So this morning and this month, we're kicking off a glorious new series, and it's all about stepping into the unknown. Stepping into the unknown. And today, we will embark on that unknown with the path less traveled. The path less traveled. So I'm trusting that everyone is witnessing the change of life around them, and the birds are starting to sing. I woke up this morning and the birds were singing, and the sun was coming up at around 6:30ish here, 6:40, and it was a glorious sight to see and to remind me of this journey we are on called life, and to create a vision or redefine that vision so that we can embrace the change and curiosity of life as we navigate this new path of practical spirituality, highlighted by Easter, highlighted by the pathway that Jesus took to help us realize that if we are in the way of faith with God, that we can transcend and transform everything in our lives. And so I always like to think of Easter as that moment where we step into tomorrow, stepping into tomorrow, where we are grounded in spirit, where we are filled with faith, and knowing that as we take each step, if we do it in faith, although we may not be able to see the next step, with faith, we're guided along the path. We're guided along the path. And so this whole idea of renewal is stepping on a new path. It's stepping in a way that allows us to realize that we are the Spirit incarnate, and that this celebration is about the renewal of life and the awakening into who and what we are. And that once we awaken to that idea, we realize that it is forever and ever and ever unfolding. M. Scott Peck said this. He wrote the book, The Road Less Traveled. He said, "I took the road less traveled, and that made all the difference in the world." I took the road less traveled, and that made all the difference in the world. You see, because it is during this path that is less traveled that allows us to engage life and to understand this idea of unfoldment. And it also encourages us to encounter the obstacles that we find along the way, which we are bound to do, to find those with joy and to find those with surrender, knowing that as we step into renewal, as we step into the rebirth of our consciousness, we step into that Christ consciousness of being able to move beyond circumstances and conditions and not worry about appearances. Because it is in this unfoldment, this idea of understanding who and what we are, that we take the road less traveled. What does that mean, we take the road less traveled? Well, first and foremost, it means it's an individual journey. There may be others that are traveling with me, but my experience on the path, the things that catch my curiosity or catch my attention, or that seems a little hard to me, are my own individual quests into the fulfillment and understanding and the renewal of what God has created each and every one of us to do and be and have in this life. And so as we open up to that and we allow God to blossom in our lives, we saw in that last song that was so beautiful by Freddy of Shine. That's what we look for on the road. We know because we have faith that the light will always shine. And we see in that flower that was in the beginning of that song, it as the sun hit it, it opened up to its fullness, its beauty, its radiance, and released its fragrance and all of the majesty of itself to the world. And at that moment, there was a engaging of all the surroundings. You know, the beautiful thing about flowers, it's amazing how, you know, we have the Easter lilies and these flowers begin to bloom every year around the same time. To me, it's amazing that reminder from God that now is the time to reevaluate your life. Now is the time to take the road less traveled. Now is the time to realize who and what we are and begin to live from that state of mind. So, you know, we have this idea from Ernest Holmes that says one of the outstanding things that Jesus taught was the mistakes of yesterday can be canceled, that God's creation is always taking place. And no matter what the experience of yesterday may have been, they can be changed. They can be overcome. They can be renewed in this way of allowing us to have a rebirth. We can take a step on another path. And so that's what Easter reminds us of. That's what Easter encourages us and invites us to do and be and have in this life. And so as we step into this unfoldment, this idea of unfolding and life anew and facing life courageously with the obstacles, that is where we want to begin. There's three things that we do on this path less traveled that makes all the difference in the world. And the first one is courage. We have to step on the path with courage. You know, Christ, as a fully realized spiritual being, he was able to accept the challenges and the circumstances and look beyond all the things in appearance. Because as we know the story of Christ and the challenges he faced and the way of looking at life, he looked beyond the appearance of circumstances. He looked beyond that to know that, as he said, my Father and I are one, that life is eternal, that we are moving in a way and we are unfolding in a way, as it says, we're stepping into this unknown mystery, this unknown way of living. Now, that doesn't mean it can't be known, because we know as we continue to step on the path, it begins to again reveal itself moment by moment, step by step. And so when that happens, we understand fully and realize fully that as we step, the path is revealed. As we release and surrender, God opens up to us. God opens the path, puts the people, places, circumstances in our lives to make us a more realized human being. Which leads us to the second step on this path, less travel. That once we've got the courage to take that first step and to step literally into tomorrow, the next thing we have to embrace and use as our shining light is faith. We have to have the faith of Job, where we are not fearful of anything, that we surrender to the moment, knowing that life is a blink of an eye. But when we step with faith and that we maintain the idea that God is all there is and there's no place where God is not, then we can step into infinite possibilities and have this self-realization moment where we blossom, where we begin to understand why we're here and what's our gifts and how we begin to serve the world. Because right now, we need servant leaders more than any other time that I'm aware of. And that's what Jesus was. Jesus was a servant leader. The example that he left was that I can speak to the highest of the high or the lowest of the low. I can speak with everyone because I know on this path less traveled, there is a unity, there is a oneness, there is a renewal of life that no matter where we are, no matter what we think we are facing that may be insurmountable, we can change our lives today, not tomorrow, not yesterday. We can change our life today by embracing this idea of Easter, this renewal, this opening of our heart and mind and soul to the development of spirit, to the development of ourselves as we step into this self-realization moment. And then once we've done that, once we found the courage to step on the path, and we step forward with faith, now here is the crux of the matter in terms of religious science of mind, where it says, as we think, so shall it be. So we have to step into this third step, this step of expectation. We have to step into this path with an expectation that it's going to grant us everything we need. It's going to lead us to the direction and point and place that we have envisioned in our mind to be the incarnated Spirit of God on earth, doing God's will, touching and awakening and enlightening everything as we go. Because we know that when we do that, when we open up to this, expecting God to be there, expecting the path to unfold in a way that is conducive for us, in a way that is open to increase our love for our fellow man, expecting to be forgiven, expecting to release those things that no longer serve us, we blossom again. We allow the sweetness of life to be released, and we look forward to each day with expectation, knowing that as we do, God has set forth the table that will provide us whatever we need. Whatever we need. It's like you're at a smorgasbord or a buffet, and there's so many things there, but you don't have to worry. You can pick and choose as you please. And because it is a buffet, you can always come back to the table. You can always take another piece of pie or a piece of cake to get that dessert sweetness of life in your mouth, to understand that God has provided everything we need. Now, today, we're going to go out and have some Easter dinner. And when we're having that dinner, there's going to be some salt on the table. There's going to be some pepper on the table. And as I just mentioned, there's going to be those desserts that are on the table. And we are going to partake of each and every part of that meal, some saltiness and some pepperiness and some sweetness. And that's what makes life what it is. That's what that Easter dinner to me represents. That's what it holds true and dear, is that this unfolding of life has a little bit of everything. And we can pick and choose how much salt I want to put on my meat, how much pepper I want to put on my vegetables, and how much cake. And I like cake. I like the sweetness of life. So I might get 2 helpings of the cake. But that is what we are looking forward to as we step into this time of renewal, this path that is unfolding and stepping into this unknown thing that is new and different every day. And so I wanted to say, as we do that, Richard Rourke I don't know if any of you have heard of Richard Wark. Richard Wark is a Franciscan friar. He's down in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Wonderful, wonderful spiritual teacher. But he says this. He says, Jesus' many parables of the kingdom, which lean heavily on the language of growth and development. His common metaphors of growth are the seeds, the growing of ears of corn, weeds, wheat growing together, and the rising of yeast. His parables of the reign of God are about finding, discovering, being surprised, experiencing reverent of expectations, changing roles and statuses. None of these notions are static. They are always about something new and good coming into being. Something new and good coming into being. And that's what life is about. It's about this growth, this understanding of who and what we are, this allowing ourselves to be new, to be encouraged, to be so infatuated and expected of life that we surrender, knowing that this individual quest that we are on, that we each embark on, is a glorious thing. It reminds us. Last week we had some snow, and for those who had some Easter-like lilies or some flowers that bloom around the time of Easter or the spring, you could see those flowers peeking up through the snow. So even through that adversity, they stepped on that path less traveled to be renewed, to open up to God. So when we begin to understand what it takes on this path of self-discovery, of renewal, of to stepping into that place that Christ has told us. He says, Christ said, these things I do, you can do these and more. If you have faith, if you have courage, if you live a life of expectation, expecting God and his magical spiritual enlightenment to infuse your body, to infuse your mind. And so that's what we're looking for here this Easter. This Easter, as we begin to overcome that darkness on the road that we've just had in the past year, and we begin to see the light, and we feel those buds that were so tightly gathered that they were afraid to open, but when the time was right, they surrendered. And that's what we're being called to do right now, is to surrender to the understanding of the mind of God, to surrender to the idea that there is no place where God is not, and there is nothing that God, if he's brought us to it, he can take us through it in a faith of renewal, in an understanding of renewal. And so as we step into this mystery of the unknown, here's what Jesus said. In effect, turns one toward oneself. And that is really one of the themes of the Gospel of Thomas, that you might go in a sort of a spiritual quest of your own to discover who you are, and to discover really that you are the child of God, just like Jesus. That you are a child of God, just like Jesus. And so our quest for this month and for the rest of our lives is to stay in touch with the renewal, to stay on that path that's least traveled, because it's not always comfortable. It's not always milk and honey. But we know once we reach the destination, once we get to the point where we are embracing this journey with faith, oh, we begin to smile, and we begin to know that life is a grand adventure, a place of play and exploration and relationships and understanding that allow us to say yes to life, that allow us to say, I am on this journey with courage, faith, and expectation. Courage, faith, and expectation. And so as we step forward this day and we begin to look at how we're going to be called into action, I love this quote that we're using for the call to action today by Lao Tzu. He said, the road you can talk about is not the road you can walk on. Now just let that sit in. The road you can talk about is not the road you can walk on. Because you see, for this renewal to take place, we have to be an active participant in the event, in the celebration, in the coming of something brand new. We have to take the first step. We have to be active participants in our life. We can't be bystanders in our life, because if we do, we might not like what we find. And so as we step into this call to action of actually taking the steps on the path, I like this quote of our statements from CSL of who and what we are and what we envision. And this is it. This is the pinnacle for me of Easter. We envision humanity awakening to its spiritual magnificence and discovering the creative power of thought. A world where every person discovers his or her own personal power and the ability to create an individual life that works within a world that works for everyone. Within a world that works for everyone. And so if you look at this background I have of these various flowers of different colors and heights and appearances, they're living in that environment there together, supporting one another. Some drawing bees rather, some drawing ladybugs, all used to cross-pollinate and allow these flowers to bloom in their glory. And so when we can step into humanity with that idea, with that understanding, we begin to know that this life, this path less traveled, this renewal season is open to each and every one of us, and that we take it, that first step, that understanding, with courage, faith, and understanding. And so the affirmation for this week is a very good one, I think, and it goes like this. We only live once, but if we do it with faith and courage, once is enough. Today, I take the first step. Today, I take the first step. And so with that first step, let's just step into prayer. Let's step into this envelope of love and light and awakening that is provided to us on this path by God. And so as we take a deep breath and allow our physical presence to be known, to feel that aspect of life being renewed as we exhale, as we feel our hearts beating and we feel maybe our fingers tingling with the Spirit of God. We know right here, right now, that in this Easter season, this season of renewal, this season of awakening, this season of moving past all of the stones and obstacles and things that may have appeared in our lives. At this moment, in this time, on this day, we step boldly on the path to reawakening the spirit within, the path to allowing ourselves to remember who we are, to have this self-realization that we are children of the Most High God, empowered with grace and understanding and mercy and power and things that can transform lives. And not only our lives, but the lives of others. And so as we begin to blossom into the sunlight, as we begin to open up, as these flowers have indicated in this picture, showing that we can all live in harmony of love and understanding and the brilliance and radiance of each and every one of us, supporting and loving and giving contrast to each one of us so that we each have our moment in the sun. And so right now, as this Easter day continues to unfold and the light begins to shine, I know that we are destined for greatness. We are destined to walk in faith and not by sight, moving beyond appearances, knowing that all is well and that God is really, really good. And so it is in that understanding, it is in that acceptance of the faith of God that I give thanks. I give thanks for this opportunity. I give thanks for this moment in time. I give thanks for the ability to take that step, to allow God to guide my hands and my feet and my mind to a place that is in service to mankind, that is renewing everything and everywhere I go. And so in that Thanksgiving, I just hold fast to the idea that we are more than we ever thought we could be. And so as we step into that idea, we open up to God, we open up to ourselves. And as this is deposited into the mind of God, that law that is always producing, that is always growing and developing the next best thing, I know that this prayer for each and every one of us and those that are here and those that may not be here is a blessing that will last forever and ever and ever. And so it is. Amen. And so it is. Amen. So I want to thank everyone that's here for this Easter service. I am so happy to start anew, to begin to take inventory of myself and my falling short, if you will, during this past year. Not exercising, not eating, got a little COVID weight, as they say, but it is a renewal moment. And so in that, I would like to just thank you and say how grateful I am for your generous tithes, offerings, and gifts that you have supported CSL Denver with through this time. We are so blessed and so happy to have you as part of the CSL family, and we look forward to the moment when we will be together again. And so right now, there are many ways that you can continue to support us through credit cards or through text to give or just by going to our website, www.csldenver.org, and pressing the donate button. And so with that, I just want to say again, thank you. And in that thanks, I know that you are blessed. And so now as we take those gifts and tithes and hold them to our heart, and you repeat our customary affirmation, this perfect gift is spirit and form, circulating and blessing all that it touches. Freely I give and freely I receive, and so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Elziet. Great talk as usual. Here at CSL Denver, we want you to know that we're here for you, to celebrate and hold space for you. Please know that our practitioners are available for prayer work with you. We love to pray with you for celebrations or challenges. Our names and phone numbers are on our website, and that's at www.csldenver.org. Or if you like, you can send a prayer request and email it at info@csldenver.org. As I mentioned at the beginning of our service, we're having our virtual fellowship on Zoom this morning. If you did not receive the invitation earlier, please send an email to info@csldenver.org. Mention fellowship, and we'll send you a Zoom invitation right away. And a reminder that over on New Thought Media Network, they're offering a Science of Mind and Spirit lecture series on the Science of Mind textbook. Check them out on your YouTube page. Reverend Alzia and Reverend Robert are some of the lectures for this series. This happens on Saturday morning from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time. And it's a wonderful way to revisit or get to know the Science of Mind textbook. New Thought Media Network also has a lot of other programs by different practitioners and ministers. So check them out on Facebook and YouTube. Meanwhile, we here at CSL Denver wish you a happy Easter, however you celebrate, and affirm right here and right now that 2021 is blessed and perfect in all that it is. We love you and miss you. Please take care of yourselves. Now let's close out with some more music from Freddy Rodriguez Jr.
Change the world. We have the wisdom. We have the power. We can move mountains and change the world. We have the wisdom. We have the power. We can move mountains and change the world. We have the wisdom. We have the power. We can move mountains and change the world. Love is all I need, and love is all I see, and love is all I need, 'cause love is all I see. We have the wisdom, we have the power, we can move mountains and change the world. We have the wisdom, we have the power, we can move mountains and change the world. We have the wisdom, we have the power, we can move mountains and change the world. We have the wisdom, we have the power, we can move mountains and change the world. 'Cause love is all I see. Love is all I see, 'cause love is all I need, and love is all I see. We have the wisdom, yeah, we have the power, we can move mountains and change the world. We have the wisdom, we have the power, we can move mountains and change the world, yeah. 'Cause love is all I need, and love is all I see, and love is all I need, and love is all I see. We have the wisdom, we have the power, we can move mountains and change the world. We have the wisdom, we have the power, we can move mountains and change the world.